Thank you, Stefan, for joining me today. My name is
Yeah.
Cameron Ackbury, and I'm going to be the moderator for this discussion. The purpose of this discussion is to help our viewers understand how Everest ERP is a true ERP built for the modern era. Before we begin, Stefan, let's start with introductions. You're an expert in the industry, so let's start around your background and how you came to Everest Systems and what you've been working on since.
Okay. So great having me, Cameron. Thank you. Glad to be here on the show. Yeah, I've been in the software industry for, don't believe it, 30 years. Spent over 20 years with SAP in different functions, always on the product side, ERP, data warehousing, analytics. And then I went to another German software company, Software AG, more on the database side and process management and integration. And then, that was picked up by private equity. It was some kind of, I wasn't really sure, but then I got really an opportunity to join Everest because, I have some friendship over here. It was the best decision ever for me to join Everest. I couldn't be happier than I am right now. It's absolutely gorgeous.
That's great. Well, thank you for that background about yourself. You do have definitely decades of experience, so I appreciate you being on this panel. So let's start off with what makes Everest System a true ERP and not just a financial system or a point solution with AI features.
I think, first of all, Everest does something that takes a lot of courage, namely to lay a true scalable and extensible foundation, a platform on which the ERP applications can reside. So from the get-go, from the very beginning, it was designed to become an enterprise ERP solution and not just a niche solution for a solution or for an industry. So that is the prerequisite for everything. And then, of course, we built the quote to cash, the procure to pay, the record to report, and the cloud cost management, inventory as scalable, multi-international, multi-currency, multi-language applications on top that really scale from being a small software company, for example, to a international, maybe even publicly noted company. So it's the foundation and the scope from the get-go that makes it a big difference.
So what I'm hearing from you, it's not just a GL, it's much more with the order cash, purchase to pay, inventory, project management, so forth.
Yeah, it's an end-to-end ERP solution, even including HR. So where really we see that things come together that belong together, rather than having a plethora of satellites swirling around an ERP that actually is just a GL. And if you look at the end-to-end costs and the total cost of ownership, it's just prohibitive. Yeah. And it's the whole idea to bring together an integrated stack again while still being flexible.
Yeah, flexibility is important. So let's get into that a little bit more. I want to talk about AI and the flexibility from it. How was Everest designed differently by being AI native from day one? And why does that matter to enterprise finance leaders today?
So I think what makes Everest different is the awareness of AI from the get-go. So we are running on a hyperscaler infrastructure stack, and from the very beginning, we have an AI model integration stack in our architecture. Mm-hmm. So we can use any model that you can think of. And when there is a new release, we plug it in. If there is a new kit on the block, we plug it in. So we are completely agnostic when it comes to the AI models, and we are able, from the architecture point of view and from a non-proprietary point of view, to participate from each and every innovation that the models bring to us. And then, of course, we can build that into the system. Each page that we have in our system is delivering data for AI, be it a ad hoc dashboard that we can generate, be it a sanity check of a sales construction, be it a compliance check. So whatever from the ChatGPTs of the world, we apply that to our system of course, without giving away the sensitive data. So we have a more intelligent way to do that.
I've heard it being described as you're building a house, and inside the house, you build natively with air conditioning, as opposed to building a house and plugging an air conditioning unit into a wall.
Exactly. We did that, and we built that house, and you don't even see the air conditioning. You just feel it.
That's right. Cool. Let's move on then to Everest as a unified application again.
Yep.
What core business functions does Everest unify under one system? And how does this reduce silos or manual work for the office of the CFO?
So I think if you look at, if you just step back and just look at your business processes, your business processes flow across the different functions, from a lead to an opportunity to a sales order to an invoice. You have people that need to be integrated. You have products that need to be built. You have invoices that you issue. You have the money that you get back. So the processes flow horizontal, while in typical ERP systems, the applications are built vertical. And that is, of course, a problem. What we have done, we have thought about the vertical flow on the business level and the system support, which is the same in the same flow. I mean, there is, it's all you need from a system, but it feels like a flowing business process that we are mapping to our system.
And that would include, I would assume, bank reconciliations and data coming from external systems, correct?
Yes, it does. What we are doing is, and that's also very different from everything I know, at least. We're not relying on third-party middleware tools.
Yeah.
So we take the effort to do the integration ourselves. There's always integration. Yeah, you're never alone. So, but rather than just pointing to a third-party tool and having the customer doing the difficult job of the integration, the field mapping and the semantics and all that, we take the effort to connect to those systems, to those applications that our customers are using ourselves. And it is then in the end guaranteeing a much more smoother, a much more consistent experience in working with the data back and forth.
Thank you. Let's talk about the environment. I've been talking about how Everest is a system built for today's economy. If I were to look at Everest, it's in the middle here. The ability to do subscription-based accounting.
Yep.
Over on the right, you have the legacy ones like a NetSuite or an Intact. And then over the left, you have GL ones like Xero, QuickBooks, Campfire, so forth.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit more about why can't cloud ERPs adapt fast enough to today's subscription usage-based and multi-entity business models?
Because we are aware of it. When the systems you just mentioned, most of them, all of them probably, they have been built without knowing that something like subscription contracts are out there. They have been built in the ages of upfront revenue deals, and it was not just there. And I can tell you from my experience, my old company, it is close to impossible to retrofit, the sophistication of deferred revenue and pro rata recognition backwards into the system. So you need to add further satellite systems again, and will create complexity. So in Everest, we have these kind of business model as our DNA. It's actually the default way of doing it. Yeah. So what is the complication in other systems is the default in our system. Yeah. And we see it every day that not only software companies, but many, many other industries are picking up on the subscription model, because it's such an easier and a more modern way to make business, and many customers also asking for it. Hey, I'm using subscription for my Spotify. It's so easy, why don't you do that in software as well? And yeah, let's do it. But it is easier said than done in terms of the downstream processes of your financial processes.
That's thank you. I remember while you were talking about the complexities of today, I was remembering how my former company way back in the early 2000s asked me to help them design the revenue recognition model. And
Mhm.
back at that days, it was just columns and rows. Columns were the months, rows were the names of the company.
Yes.
And then you just summed it up at the bottom and you put your debit and deferred revenue, new revenue. And it would just be the way that you did it back then. Now you have contract modifications according to ASC 606 that you need to deal with, and IFRS 15 over in Germany. It's a lot different economy, isn't it?
Yeah, and maybe if I can add that, Cameron, what I have seen as on top of that issue is, this huge disconnect between sales and finance, yeah, that resulted from not being able to quickly book the deals in the system, yeah. So people were flying blindly a whole quarter because the sync between the ERP system, the finance system, and the CRM system was only done once a month. So, there was no chance, on the sales side, to do really quality revenue in terms of profitable deals and all that, because the information was not there. Yeah. And that is a completely new world in Everest. I mean, we have a live connection to Salesforce, and we can update finance information in a per opportunity way. So not only on a time frame much faster, but even business object wise. So we can give the guidance to the sales team as to what this opportunity can become in terms of a profitable sales a deal while cooking the deal. It's a completely new experience, and it's a completely new opportunity to also steer sales in the future.
That's great. And also, I would assume that it can go back up into Salesforce and give you dashboard views for the
Yes,
sales team to understand MRR, ARR, and so forth.
exactly. And it gives you at all the opportunity and the possibility to think about completely new ways to compensate salespeople.
Great. Let's move on to the idea that changing ERPs is difficult. How does
Yes.
Everest eliminate the traditional trade-off between customization and speed of implementation?
So over all these years, this was an unsolved problem. How can I get security, safety, all these features, of a system that is absolutely mission critical. At the same time, also agility and changeability was not solvable, because the productive system was completely, shielded away from change. And the number of times in a year that you could do a change on your productive ERP system was kind of, maybe every quarter once, and that was, you had to go through a process of governance that is, made it almost impossible to do it. That's, by the way, one of the reasons why all those satellite systems began to exist. And that is, in Everest, is totally different. So what we have is a concept is called live sandboxing. What does it mean? It means that at every point of time, I can make a logical copy of the system. It looks exactly like the productive system. It looks at the same data of the productive system, which I'm allowed to see, of course, but I can do zero wrong in that copy.
Mhm.
It's a logical branch of the system, and it takes maybe 5 to 10 seconds to set it up. Yeah. And you can do your what if analysis, you can do your reorganization simulation there. You can look what would happen if I change the process of giving rebates and discounts. What would a company look like if I reorganize the sales teams? All that you can do without harming anything on the productive side, but looking at live data is a completely new way and a completely new thinking about an ERP system in terms of, working with it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's totally amazing.
I have two follow-ups on that. Sandbox. We're the only application out there. EverSystem is the only application, ERP application, that provides a sandbox environment, isn't it?
It's at least the only one that has a sandbox in the sense that it does not physically copy all the data. Yes.
Yeah.
And that the copy of the data is the starting point of being detached from the system. Yeah. So we keep the data and we have our way. If you change the data in your sandbox, we can also do that. But only at that very moment, we do something which is called copy on write, which is a technical term, but it is a very clever database kind of method to do changes, and you can merge them back to the productive system like you would do it in similar systems too. Yeah, but you don't have to. You can also stay in the sandbox if you want.
Yeah.
And you can have as many sandboxes as you want. I mean, there's virtually no limitation of you can have hundreds of sandboxes. Not a problem at all.
Quite different. It's a unique thing that Everest is providing to the industry. The second question that I have for you, you brought up earlier about satellite applications.
Mm-hmm.
Were you referring to the apps and all the other add-ons that you have to create on top of an application in order to make it work for their particular environment?
Yes, exactly. Some people call it the Frankenstein architecture or the Frankenstein landscape that we see out there. Yeah, that's what I mean.
I'm glad that we can solve that without needing all of those, creating a Frankenstein application. Let's talk about automation. What role does automation play in Everest? And what are examples of processes that are now fully automated from end to end?
Maybe the most prominent automation process that we have in the system is the revenue recognition process of subscription deals. Yeah, it is even though these deals can be quite sophisticated, not only talking about deferred and revenue and the pro rata recognition, but also in terms of usage-based parts of the contract. And some contracts have a mixture of subscription and fixed price, and a mixture also, maybe there is also some consultancy services involved. Yeah, all that can be in one coherent contract with a customer, and still the whole processing, the whole revenue downstream processing is completely automated because all the intelligence is in the system. And I would bet you that that in all the cases that I know of, this process is otherwise been kind of using spreadsheet kind of information all over the place. Yeah,
that's right. Let's get into compliance. How does Everest support compliance, auditability, and internal controls, especially like in complex environments like SaaS or global consolidation?
Well, there can be now a very complicated answer. Yeah? But the easy answer is just it's built in. It's just built in. The awareness of all these compliance and security and governance things we're just aware of that. We know this because we are an enterprise grade ERP, and therefore it is part of the solution. Yeah? It is nothing that you need to plug in here and plug in there. It is just implemented in the automation process.
Yeah, so as part of the implementation, what does built for scale actually mean in Everest architecture and business model, and how does that benefit growing companies?
For example, maybe the most important example is our ability to support multi-entities. So as companies grow, they go international. What this means, they have subsidiaries all over the world, in different countries. Different countries have different accounting rules. Different countries have different currencies. Different countries have different languages. Different countries, have different role in the business process. There's production here or development there. There is, headquarter over here. So this is something we assumed from the get-go to be happening. And as we say, with Everest, there's only one selection, and then you're done. Yeah? And then we grow with you, with our customers, and as quickly as they can, and we support, all over the place. That's really
So what I'm
something
hearing
that's
is you would never have to change out your ERP again.
exactly. It's like that's the best way to put it.
One of the things I like to compare and contrast is what it was like 20 years ago. 20 years ago, a subscription-based company would probably be in one market until they achieve growth, and then maybe slowly evolve over time. Whereas now, subscription-based companies are doing fast growth into multiple different countries, which is why it's important to have consolidation and multi-entity.
Yeah. And at some point of time, it just doesn't fly anymore that you have a GL in every country you are running in. I mean, it's just not feasible.
Yeah, it's not sustainable. So I'm going to give you a hard question now. Okay. If you had to
Right.
summarize why Everest is the future of ERP in one sentence, what would it be?
So it is a system that is bringing together two important things. It is addressing the most recent and modern, challenges of the business side with the most modern technology in the market. This is a combination you need to be disruptive. Yeah? And it's in other words, is the good old, innovator's dilemma learning that, you need to attack emerging business needs with modern technology. And this is a breakthrough.
Yeah. Well, that was 4 sentences, but I'll let that pass.
Okay.
Okay, my last question for you. Since you've been here for quite some time, what have you learned about the industry?
Oh, yes. I learned about the industry that there's so many mid-sized companies, in the landscape of companies. And it's incredible if you add up all the costs of those systems, all the annual costs. It is incredible. And it is amazing how companies can survive spending all that money plus the integration cost on top. Yeah. So simply, it doesn't make sense like that. And it's all rooting back to the old disease of ERP systems being untouchable. If we break that, then we can again talk about really an integrated end-to-end ERP service that is just, glitch-free and integration-free.
Stefan, I want to say thank you so much for your time today. You are definitely an expert in the industry and helping our viewers understand how Everest ERP as a true ERP application for the modern era. Thank you again.
Thank you, Cameron. Thank you for having me.